welcome back. Some good news for domestic workers and farm workers as the minimum wage will increase from next month to at least 23 Rand and 19 cents an hour. This means the minimum wage will go up by at least 1 Rand and 50 cents. But is it enough to survive? Let's hear from Thembinkosi Mkhaliphi, who is the Deputy Director General for Labour Policy and Industrial Relations at the Department of Labour. Thank you very much for your time, sir. Now, first of all, do you think that this would be enough for each person to be able to actually put food on the table and other, elder responsibilities at home?
Well, I mean, the issues the department and the commission need to balance is have a minimum wage that will keep people in employment. And the big risk is if we then take that route that you're asking, is this enough? The chances of people getting a very high minimum wage and then later being unemployed are great. Therefore, that's the balance that we need to balance in this. And that's why the commission recommended the level that it recommended.
And looking at, some of the policies that, for instance, might work, for instance, your basic income grant, that should be something, if the policy is implemented correctly and the policy, there's a political will to implement it correctly, if it ever actually comes into fruition in South Africa, it would assist for people who, for instance, cannot afford even with that extra salary.
Well, we don't have a basic income grant as we speak.
In South Africa.
We've got a minimum wage. That's the first thing. Secondly, we don't know when the basic income grant comes, when it comes, if it does come, at what level it will be. Therefore, for us, we're catering for those who are employed, and the basic income grant will cater for people who are not employed. For people who are employed, the minimum wage is a floor under which that protects them. Therefore, these issues target different constituencies in terms of society, and the minimum wage is to bring people in work at the workplace and for them to be able to work. And we can't encourage all people in the society to depend on the basic income grant, not be able to have productive work and life in the economy.
Some people in different sectors, for instance, Agri-SA, which represents farmers, say because of the fact that, our economy has been so hard hit, they cannot create jobs already by now, and they're already not making enough money. They're saying that they're concerned that this new, proposal will, have a bad burden on farmers. What's your response to that?
Well, I mean, again, we're coming back on the same issue that we've got to balance the needs of the employer, that is the farmers, and the needs of the workers themselves. And in terms of the system, any employer that cannot afford the minimum wage and they've got justifiable reason not being able to afford, they can apply for exemption. The exemption system is open, it's online, it's seamless. If they supply all the information that is needed, the system give results in terms of whether they've got the exemptions or not. Just like when you submit your information to SARS, your tax information, you immediately get a response from SARS that indicates whether is there any refund or no refund to you, or whether you are being put on audit. The same system applies with the exemption. Therefore, any employer that genuinely cannot afford this minimum wage, they can apply for exemptions.
And what happens, Mr. Mkhaliphi, what does government do then when employers are actually able to pay these domestic workers and farm workers enough, but they don't? And tell us about the platforms that farm workers and domestic workers have within the Labour Department to be able to report such inequality.
Well, if employers don't pay the minimum wage, now when you use the word enough, I don't know what is enough. What I know is the minimum wage. If domestic employers, farm workers, or any other employer don't pay the minimum wage, then the employees themselves, they can approach any of our offices and put a claim on this. They can go to the CCMA and report the case that their employer is not paying the minimum wage. They can go to a union if there's a union and report that the employer is not paying the minimum wage. And we know that there are many workers who might be afraid to come forward. They don't have to say that when they report a case, that is them who reported the case. Let the inspectors go out and do their job. But we depend on workers coming forward and reporting their employers if they are not paying their employees. As you would agree with me that we'll never have enough inspectors to send inspectors in each and every house in this country that employs domestic workers, or in each and every farm, or in each and every shop or a factory in this country. Therefore, the assistance by workers themselves, by employers themselves, who knows that their competitors are not paying the minimum wage, and trade unions is very important to bring the information forward.
All right, Thembinkosi Mkhaliphi, thank you very much for your time. He's the Deputy Director General for Labour Policy and Industrial Relations at the Department of Labour.